Hey everyone, this is Martin, and I am at the video editing desk where we do the videos for the Base Camp Resort and Cabin Company and the. Oh, there, we started this up again. Stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it. Okay, back at the video editing desk. If I'd quit bumping that, it would be better. Anyway, we have been going through a lot of preliminary information on the previous videos, and today I decided, I may feel like it may not be quite time for it, but I know that most of you are just kind of chomping at the bit for how do you get these things started? How do you finance stuff? How do you get the money to do what you need to do or what you want to do in the way of purchasing a recreation property or a homestead property or the off-grid property or something like that. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples of what we have done. And I mean, these are not theory. These are the real deal. We have actually done these ourselves. And the examples that I'm going to give you, one of them is kind of for smaller kind of purchases. I don't know that you'd really be able to do it on a really big purchase. The other technique works on everything, kind of all across the board. And we used that second one to purchase our biggest resort property, which was about $1.5 million. So, and we did it without any of our own money, not because we didn't want to spend our own money. We just simply didn't have any. We didn't have any to make the purchase on any level, or even the down payment on the property. So it works all the way up to big properties as well, but it works on small ones too. The first one was a 5-acre property, and even though the circumstances around this deal was a little bit different because it was back in the 2008 to 10 range, somewhere in there. I don't remember the exact year that we did this, but it was when there was a lot of foreclosures out there. And I was talking to a banker friend of mine one day, and was just asking him, what do you got around there that you need to get rid of? And lo and behold, they had a 5-acre acreage out in the country, about 8 miles out of town. That was a beautiful little property. It had a 2-bedroom house on it, the well and the electricity and all of that was there. So, and they had taken this on a foreclosure, and it was getting close to the end of the year, and they wanted to get rid of it. And I told him, yeah, I'd be interested in that. And we did a drive-by. We didn't even really inspect the house. We just did a drive-by and came back and said, well, what are your terms on the thing? And I said, my condition was, you've got to be able to make a decision on it today. If you got to drag this thing out and talk to all of the board and talk to everybody else, I'm going to walk out and we're not going to do this deal. But if you can give me a price today and I can make a decision on it today, we'll do it. And he did. He went up and talked to probably the bank president. I don't know who he talked to, but he came back down with a little slip of paper with a number wrote on it. And it was like, yeah, I can do that. And so we kind of made a handshake deal right there. I said, we'll get our stuff together and we'll be back up here to get it taken care of. And so we walked out, my wife and I, and we looked at each other like, how are we going to do this? We don't have the money. And, oddly enough, the money we needed to come up with was only like $3,000. It was almost nothing for the down payment. And they had made just a really good deal for us on it. But we didn't have that. And it was close to Christmas time, and it was close to the end of the year where we had property taxes due and all of that. And we just didn't have it. We didn't even have the money for those other things, much less this. And, but I had been accumulating these letters on my desk that I've been getting from my bank, a different bank, that was given special offers for cash advances and 0 interest for like 3 months or something like that. And I'd been just tossing them on my desk, and I thought, let's look at one of those. And so I pulled it up, and it was a cash advance, I think, for $3,000 or $5,000. It wasn't a whole lot, but it was enough to get the job done. So I went down to the bank, and I said, my bank, not the bank with the property, but I went down and said, okay, what does it take to do this? And they set me up. I got a cash advance, put it in my bank account, went over to the other bank, and made the purchase on it. And it was a credit card, what would you call it? Introductory offer. So I basically put the down payment of the house on a credit card. And I knew that we were probably not going to be able to pay it back before the introductory period was over. The interest rate was real high. So I started looking for someone that would maybe cash that deal out and do more of a long-term. And when I say long-term, I think I financed the down payment for like 2 years with a friend of mine. And I just kind of put it out there on Facebook. Anybody interested in doing an investment thing? And I offered them 12% annual interest, which at the time interest rates were like 6%, but we were only talking a very small amount of money and a very short amount of time. So I wasn't too worried about that. And so, of all people, my tax preparer said, yeah, I'll do that. And so we set up a loan. We needed $3,000 to recover that cash advance, but I asked him for five. And that way I had money to pay my property taxes that were coming due and then also buy the kids some Christmas presents. So we were able to do all of that really without using any of our own money that's in the bank. And now obviously we were borrowing it and had to pay it back, but that got us into that deal. And later on, we used it as a rental for a while, and then later on we ended up selling it, doing an owner finance to a lady that was wanting to do a homestead on it, a small 5-acre homestead, and she's still living there today. Actually just closed on the property to finalize the completed purchase on that just a few months ago. So it's been like 10 years that she's been in the process of making payments on it, and she just finally closed on it, and it's hers. So anyway, that was one interesting way that we went about getting the property. And of course, it was a foreclosure, but that doesn't really mean, that's not what made the deal happen. It was the way that we kind of structured that finance to get it acquired or get it purchased. The other one is a little more complicated and takes a lot more work, but you can do a lot bigger things with it. And we did this, like I said, on the purchase of our biggest resort. It's the one where we do the treehouse construction. If you haven't seen any of that, I'll drop a link on the tree houses here somewhere on this video. So take a look at that and you'll see the tree houses that we're doing there. But that one, the purchase price on it was a lot. It was almost $1.5 million. That was their asking price. We did negotiate it down a little bit, but when we started the negotiations on that, we had nothing to work with, no down payment. And I didn't just go out and start making offers. We got kind of the financing thing sort of settled before we actually ever started making offers. And the down payment alone was like $300,000. So I literally had less than $10,000 in the bank. So we had virtually nothing as far as what we needed to make that deal happen. And I got with the University of Missouri. They had extension offices around the state here, and they had a business development director that worked out of one of those extension offices in the town over from us, just a little ways. And I attended one of her seminars, and what she did was help establish businesses, get businesses going, and help finance. They didn't help finance them themselves, but they showed us the pathway through the jungle of financing things that you can do. And when we told her what we were trying to do, she said, there's really only one route that's going to get you there because you don't have any money to work with as far as the down payment, and that's through the Small Business Administration. And I had always heard horror stories about the Small Business Administration and trying to get anything financed there, but she was there and willing to help. So I said, well, if you're willing to guide me through that and work with us on it, then yeah, I'd love to know about that. So what the deal is, the SBA, Small Business Administration, has a program. I don't remember the exact name of it. They've got two basic programs, and one of them will allow you to use an owner-financed portion of the purchase as a down payment. They will recognize it as a down payment. So you don't have to come up with really any of your own money on the deal. And so we got with the realtors on this day. We did all the negotiation through realtors, but we told them that, yes, we're very interested in doing this. We can get the financing done. The banks that we had initially talked to gave us, you've probably heard the story about how we approached 9 banks, and 7 of them turned us down, 2 of them approved us. But all of them, to start with, they all want to say that, they can make it work. And even though at some point they all kind of kicked the project out the door. But all of the banks says, yes, we understand going through the SBA that will alleviate this risk on our part. And it will And yes, if you use the SBA financing in this method, you can use an owner carryback or an owner finance portion of the sale as your down payment. And all of them agreed that that would work. And they all said that they could handle it, even though most of them didn't. So we went ahead and made the offer and got the contract contingent upon us getting the financing in place. But we were pretty certain that if we found the right bank, we could get it done. We knew that the SBA would do it. So essentially what we did was we negotiated from the seller a concession on his part to finance $300,000 worth of the purchase, which for a period of 5 years. And then we had to pay him out or cash him out of that deal after 5 years. But he was willing to carry that $300,000 for up to 5 years on his part, which the bank looked at that as saying, okay, that is equivalent of your down payment. That's what you need for a down payment. And the SBA thing made that possible. So by using $300,000 worth of his money secured for those 5 years, we were able to get financing on the rest of the purchase, which was the bigger amount, almost $1 million. And that put the package together that we were able to purchase that property with, and literally did not use a penny of our own money to get that deal done. So it was a well over $1 million purchase, not a single penny out of our pocket. Here is a side benefit of that I didn't really think about going into it, but as we got closer to the closing, I realized that we're going to get actually a big check at the end of this thing when we actually close on the property. And what the deal was there is the property that we were buying was an operational RV park where we were going to build the treehouse cabins. And so we closed on it in early June of 2014. And the business had been collecting deposits for site rental all the way through the year. So they had accumulated a lot of deposits that were for reservations that happened after we closed on it. So we were to get credit for all of those deposits in the form of a check or in the form of, on the closing statement, they were transferring the credit to our purchase. And we just ended up taking it as a credit because until that morning, we really didn't know what that number was going to be, just because it was a dynamic number, changed minute by minute because of the reservations coming in. So as it turned out, when we got ready to leave, they calculated up what the deposits were that the previous owner was holding and transferred those to us in the form of a check. It was like a $40,000 check that, they wrote to us and handed it to our banker that was closing the deal. And he took and looked at it and he handed it to me and says, "That's not a bad looking check, is it?" And I said, "No, that will help get things started here really well." And so that is a technique that literally, I've been doing financial seminars and coaching and things like that for years and years and years. And I can tell you that of all of the people that I've ever told that story to, literally none of them had ever heard of anything like that before. So that is an incredibly good way to finance a property when you don't have really enough or any money to do it yourself. Now, there is a lot of hurdles that you got to go through with the SBA. Most banks will walk you through that process. And, I would even encourage you to see if your local extension office through one of the universities close by has a business development program or director that has someone that can help walk you through that too, because she helped us develop a business plan and all of those kind of things. So you still have a lot of work to do. But hey, if you're looking at making a purchase, you've got no money to do it with, and there's this pathway to get you there, and you don't mind spending the work and the effort to do that, that's an excellent way to get you into a piece of property if that's what your goal is. So anyway, if either of those things helped you out, put a comment down below saying, yeah, that was a good idea. I know they work for a fact myself because I've done them both. I've done the credit card thing multiple times. So it works. Both of them work, but you do have to be diligent on how you do it. There's just no question about that. So anyway, if you found this to be worthwhile, do a comment down below, or at the very least, subscribe. I've got a lot more information. that we'll be putting on the video series that's coming up. So if you want to get any of that, you need to subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you will get those when we send them out. Anyway, I hope that was helpful to you, and we'll see you next time.